Hello, and welcome to JagaVision episode 106. I'm Jared Nyberg. I am co-owner of JagaSilk. I'm the host of these shows. 106 weeks of hanging out with people in the industry, people that are just flat out interesting folks. Some solo shows. Generally, we're joined with our honorary co-host, Sherri from Sister Speak Music, which is always lots of fun. Encourage you to go onto our YouTube channel and check things out. You can click to subscribe. You can click the bell button and know when new shows are coming on. We generally broadcast at 2 o'clock these days on Thursdays. And we have guests, again, from all over the world. And today we are going to have, no exception. We actually Victoria's on the very far west of Canada. Our guest is joining us from essentially almost as far east as you can go. And I met actually Rydé Harding, who's the executive director of the Small Ritual Health Society, when she was doing a coffee shop in White Rock as part of the society's work. So that was exciting to see her the other day, and we got to roast some Sencha. So she's going to come on the show today. So she's actually already joined. She's on the call right now. Rydé, are you there?
Here.
There you are. Okay, awesome. Cool. All right, so we have Rydé joining us. You want to maybe introduce yourself to everybody watching? Maybe talk about your society and stuff, and whatever you want to. I don't know. Who is Rydé?
Sure. I stopped introducing myself with my title a long time ago.
Sure.
I thought it would be easier to introduce myself with my values.
Okay.
So
Okay.
my name's Rydé, and I value synergy, leadership, holistic health, and I figure that's a real easy way for somebody to know who I actually am as opposed to a title. So,
I think that's amazing. I
Now
should
you know
probably
it's
start doing that.
important.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
co-owner of
yeah.
JagaSilk. I am Jared. I also, what are my values? Yeah, relationships, and I think good intentions, and I think trying to be in a space of balance. Yeah.
Yeah, I see a lot of harmony, balance for sure. Yeah.
That's the goal.
That's
the goal.
a thing that's celebrated.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Cool.
yeah.
Okay, so we met. I guess I feel like I do this a lot of times. You should see some of the old shows, right? It's like oh yeah, I met this person 15 years ago, or 12 years ago, or like 18 years ago, and it's just like it's kind of amazing. I think I have like salt and pepper in my beard. I think I'm actually 40 in September. I'm gonna be 80 before I know it. It's just
but still doing this.
but still doing this. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Actually, you know what? I do have a story about when I first saw you.
Okay, interesting.
You
All
want
right.
me to
Yeah,
tell?
let's
Okay.
do it. Okay.
So it was I don't know what year it was, but it was at the Camosun College Tea Festival, Victoria Tea Festival fundraiser.
Okay.
And you were, I don't know, you were doing a booth basically, and you were passionately, lengthily explaining the process of matcha, what matcha was, and why people should love it to people. And I started to see from a distance this crowd
Okay.
kind of gathering around you, and I was like, oh, there's a show there, because it didn't look like you were selling things, right, at first.
Sure. Yeah.
And then I came up and I was like, oh, there's a show, there's a presentation. And basically you were giving a presentation, and what struck me was that just this passion that exuded from you. I was
that's
just
nice.
like, I'm gonna hang out here and see what else this guy has to say. And then if he's selling stuff, which I don't know if he is.
I still don't know. I'm
But really, you sold me that
I'm
passion.
confused to this day.
Yeah, but I think other people, when they know you or they
Sure.
experience JagaSilk and they come in, or even on satellite, right? Like if you're at an event, I think that you sell them that passion, and it's infectious.
Oh, that's sweet.
So, which is so cool.
Oh, thank you for that. Yeah, no, it's you were the first person to with your group of staff at Small Ritual Coffee Society in White Rock to say, hey, can we have a tour of JagaSilk? And that was interesting, because I think at the time it was so like grassroots. It still is. It's very like bootstrapped together kind of business, but then it was like tour. Okay. Like, what are we gonna do? You're gonna come in with your crew and you're like, okay, we're here for the tour, and it's like, all right, it's done.
They loved it. They loved it. I mean, between you and Victoria Gin.
Yeah.
And this was when Victoria Gin used to be in. Victoria Gin is two brothers and a brother-in-law and a dad.
Oh,
right?
wow,
It's a
okay.
family company. So that used to be in somebody's basement on somebody's farm in West Saanich. So between them and you, that crew, and we went to, I think, 12 different places while we were here for like 3 days. It was nuts.
Okay.
So those two were everyone's favorite. Now those guys, they involve booze, right? So like.
That's
still
interesting.
Were competing.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's something. When we started the company, I had a hatred for alcohol. Like, I would say it was really like, I have there's my there's some family background stuff with alcoholism that has made me really really dislike how much damage it can do. I'm at a place now where I really love its relationship with fermentation and flavor, and everything in moderation, they say. So I can understand that, and that there's actually, I've also learned there's a lot of damage you can do with caffeine. There's a lot of damage you can do with all sorts of overdoing it with all sorts of things. But anyways, at the time when we started, I was like, it's so interesting that you can create these spaces that people seem to really like resonate with, but they're often alcohol based, so like these bars and stuff. And I always thought that I love that sort of chill environment where you have people kind of hanging out and connecting and talking and stuff. But I really didn't feel like I wanted to be in a place where I supported the alcohol component, and I thought tea would be such a. And so when we designed the tea bar, I remember being actually inspired by a sake bar in Tokyo train station, where you go into this random little tiny room in Tokyo train station, which they transformed into like old wood and like the dark lights, and it's like you forget that you're literally in Tokyo train station. You feel like you're in some sort of classical heritage area of Kyoto or something. Like it was pretty cool. So that was pretty fun. But anyway, I bring it up because the alcohol tea thing. Now it's funny too. Now I actually have, I don't know if I showed you, but we have our bottles of cold brew tea in wine bottles. So there's definitely this interweaving, isn't there? Yeah, but you're into coffee as well, right? Like pretty hardcore.
I love things.
Yeah.
I love like anything food and drink, like libations and gastronomy. I'm 100%.
You're in. Yeah, but you do a health society, and there seems to be a very much an interweaving link there too. Like there's such yeah. Sorry, please.
That was more because it was a way to have people acquire skills socially and mentally, in terms of health and social interaction, in a way that was non-alcoholic and supportive. So that was really it. I mean, a lot of people that when we had the cafe in White Rock, most people didn't know that was a society-run project.
Right.
So we were really interested in that because that is a natural space for people to congregate and just be together and celebrate anything like food and drink or just relationships.
Right.
So that's why.
So So what was the impetus? I don't think I've ever asked this before. What was the impetus for starting up the society in the first place? If that wasn't.
It was actually started by a church that saw a need for community building in a way that wasn't conventional. And they decided that they wanted to do something kind of underground.
Okay.
Right? And where it wasn't, they wanted to fulfill their duty to their community, but not in a way of getting butts in pews, so to say.
Oh, sure. Okay.
And if people needed, consultation, or they needed guidance, or they aligned with that, then sure, they could have that. And there was always kind of that underlying possibility. But then the church, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? The church just completely spent so much money on the craziest of things and had no idea how to run a business or a cafe, right? And they did the best with of what they had with what they knew how, and they were closing down. And I walked by there. I lived there.
Sure.
And I was like, no, this place can't close down. This is the coolest vibe.
Right.
So then I learned what the place actually was.
Okay.
And then we got involved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And we're just joined by Sherri from Sister Speak. She's with us for a moment from a river in Chicago.
Nice.
No, I'm actually in Ontario.
You're in Ontario. Okay, there you go. You're just, I and you're about to go on a world tour. That's pretty exciting. That's just,
I guess hello. How are you all doing?
Hey, we're doing good. Rydé, you know Sherri from last from previous. Have you met Sherri? I don't know.
No.
You haven't met her. Okay, all right.
Met her.
I feel like you have. I don't know why. Sherri is the lead singer of Sister Speak. We hey Sherri, we started this introduction with values instead of titles, and I already ruined it for you. So
I love that.
So instead of Sherri, lead singer of Sister Speak, who Sherri? What are your values? There's my cheesy question for the day, but it's a wonderful question at the same time.
No, I mean, values. I love water.
Yeah.
And kindness. I just got through the border, and oh my gosh, I've never seen so many people be so kind in the span of 1 hour at a gas station. I was blown away. I think I'm having culture shock being back in Canada for like 2 days.
Okay. Cool.
Values of kindness, and I don't want to actually interrupt too much of the show because I will say the wind is really strong here. I wanted to pop on and say hello for a few minutes, and values.
It's not terrible. The wind is not destroying the mic. Yeah, the mic is not picking up too much of it, which is good.
Oh, that's good. I don't know how long I'll have service for either, but the Sencha in this bottle is delicious. It's been brewing.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, we were just hearing about so Rydé. I guess Rydé. If I was to, this is kind of a good moment to explain to those who've just joined us that you're joining us from the small Ritual Health Society, and we met 12, 13 years ago, and we've been kind of, or longer. I don't even know, a million years ago. And there's been definitely a shared sense of values, right? Like just this idea of I guess trying to bring meaning to the world a bit. Hey, like I think there's definitely that, or at least trying to find it. Bring it seems a little bit out there, but
right.
Participate in the bringing of it. Yeah. But maybe, and you were telling us, those watching, how you started the society, or how it was started before your time, before you joined it, or took it over. I guess that's where we were at.
Well, it started out as a coffee shop, and they didn't really know what they wanted to do. And then we had to sit down and really do some alignment about, like, what are you trying to do?
Yeah.
And then I kind of realized at that time that the board everyone was burnt out and everything was changing, but I wanted to carry on with the spirit of what they were trying to do.
Okay.
And then morph it into something a little more tangible, but also a lot more concise.
Right.
And then we decided that what we cared about, what we could all agree on, is that we cared about bolstering people's health.
Right.
But then we decided we wanted a really broad definition of health. So anything from safety all the way through enrichment, and so anything that helped that, we decided that's what we would be involved in.
Right.
So.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, that's actually awesome, and I think that's actually been an inspiration for the work that I've been doing with the International Tea Appreciation Society. Is that it's almost as if through broader scope you can achieve more concrete results, which is kind of the opposite of what I experienced with the company. It's through like very specific, tangible plans, which is still relative to related to what we need to do when we're actually operating the society. But I guess setting it up, it's like, hey, have something fairly open-ended so that it's the things that you really come across that are super meaningful. You still have room to be able to do them. You haven't, built a constitution that sort of like makes it so that you can't even achieve these things that you want to do. So,
or that your constitution embodies or creates foundation for that exchange.
Right.
If exchange is what's important, and everybody brings something, then let it brew.
Totally.
It's cool to be able to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, while we're talking about this stuff, maybe we could make some tea, and go and continue the conversation. We were talking about making some sencha because last it was last. Oh, geez, last month, I guess, when you were here. The roast.
It's already been a month.
Oh my goodness.
Lucky.
Yeah, visiting from where are you now? You're in Nova Scotia?
I'm in Pictou, which is the birthplace of New Scotland.
Okay.
So it's
Wow.
like it's where if you're Scottish and you arrived on a boat in 1885, yeah.
It's and you
Then
Whoa.
and the society picked up a building that you're developing.
yeah, I'm in it.
Or you're in it.
Super old.
Yeah, that's
Like,
amazing.
look, those are radiators, and that's wood, like wainscoting, and there's a real old couch. But
It's not from
no, the
1886.
house I'm in is 150 years old. Crazy.
That's amazing. Yeah, I thought I lived in an old house. That's I hope it's not too drafty. But you're White Rock all the way to, and it is Nova Scotia, right? Am I wrong? New
Yeah,
Scotland?
I'm in Nova Scotia. Yeah.
So that's big too. So what are here actually? I have so many questions for you, but I guess I should try and toggle this with tea making. So I'm gonna so this you guys can see what's going on here. I guess the audience can too. I'm gonna weigh out 5 grams of tea into a preheated kyusu. I really love making sencha in kyusu. I mean, it's gonna be better to make it in something that doesn't have, like, I don't know if you can see this, but it's not sealed on the inside. It doesn't have a glaze on the inside, so that very fact itself is going to affect how I extract flavor. Different teapots are going to bring out, or they're going to kind of hold back different flavor compounds. So your teapot when it's not glazed is going to affect the extraction. But I just love the effect that it has. What it does really let me do is it reduces tannin, really, an acid, and therefore I'm able to use a lot more tea and bring out a really strong flavor dynamic without it getting too acidic, or too tannin.
And that's just from the inside.
That's the theory anyway. I don't really have any. That's more like observational and experiential rather than proven in any way. We've been starting to play around with pH meters and Brix readings on a refractometer, and it'd be kind of cool to be able to go and make that happen. So, Takaki-san, how much you said you pre-dosed, Ryde?
Yeah.
How much did
I
you?
did. Because I'm doing it in, this is a 1 liter, what do you call it? So I did 16.
Oh wow,
grams.
you went all in. Okay, so what I would love you to do is the ratio that Takaki-san really likes is he loves to do 90 grams of water in 5 grams of tea. So if we extrapolate that to what you have, then instead of filling your teapot right up, you should probably do 270 grams or maybe 280 grams of 70 degrees centigrade water. Do you have a temperature variable kettle? Are you able to get
No,
that?
I did that. I boiled this, and then this one here is at 40, and so then I just mixed the two.
Oh, interesting. Do you have a thermometer? Are you able to?
It was just fast enough that I could
it makes sense.
do that. And I had a thermometer that would do 40, but I didn't have a thermometer that would do higher.
Okay.
But then up in my office, I have like a T-bot. I don't know what they call it, but it's like a Zeroshi.
Okay, yeah, Zeroshi. Yeah, they.
Right, so it just clicks when it's at 80. And I usually
that's what you brew it. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, that's what they do in Japan, and you can.
But
I
have to do it here.
Yeah, because we're in a different space. So I would do try and get your water temperature as close to 70 as you can, if you can just measure that with the thermometer, and then pour that onto your tea. Have you already started the extraction?
Yeah, no, I just did.
Okay.
In my time.
Okay, so 270.
You started, and so I started.
Okay.
And then you talk.
Okay, now I've reduced your water volume quite considerably. Are you making the water volume that was on the package then, or are you going to reduce it down?
No, I just did the same ratio. So I did what was on the package. So I did 16 grams.
Okay. And then you did that.
And then I'm doing just under a liter.
So that's the brew bar. You know what? I'm going to match you then. I was going to show you, for next time. Actually, I wonder if we could do this during the call. Probably better if you just do it another time. But the farmer loves 5 grams, 90 grams. So 5 grams of tea.
Yeah, I wrote that down.
Okay, sweet. And then that's a minute and a half instead of a minute and 15. Is his extraction time, and it's quite interesting. But it does taste better in a Kyusu, and it does taste better in as small of a tea brewer as you can get your hands on. He likes to use about 120 milliliter teapot, but mine's 180. So I'm gonna actually do 10 grams, because it's nice if you don't have any room in the teapot. But if you're brewing Sencha this strong in a 1 liter teapot, it can get a little bit overwhelming.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna.
Well, I can brew more of it. I mean, Kyle loves it. He'll just drink it all.
Amazing.
So,
okay. Well then, we just have more Sencha for Kyle. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm into this. So I'm gonna add 70-degree centigrade water. And for those watching, what Ryde's done is like super pro. Is you can actually take you can combine hot and cold water to get your temperature that you want. Another thing you can do is if you have boiling water, every time you put it into a room temperature vessel, it's gonna drop. 10 degrees centigrade. So if you have boiling water 100 and you drop 3 times, then you're sitting at the ideal temp here of 70. And then you're gonna be in a good place. So I guess.
Sorry.
No problem.
Hello?
I was just gonna ask you, Sherri, how you made your tea, and then you probably need to blast it.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say the tea is incredible. Just like I put one bit of hot water on it, like I just for a second, and then I poured it off because it was from the like coffee maker in the hotel, and it tasted like coffee.
Uh-oh.
And I was just like, oh no, that's horrible. So I poured it off as fast as possible, and then I just added regular like warm water because it's so hot right now. I added warm water, and it wasn't even warm, but I just let it sit there for like 5 minutes. And I've never seen a tea steep so fast in my life.
That's amazing. Okay.
Like it's like iced tea, but not. And like it's delicious. It's like unbelievable.
That's awesome.
I'm sorry, but this is also oh sorry. The other quick thing is that I didn't know that the Detroit River, like that's literally Detroit right there.
Oh wow, that's across the water, and you're in Canada. That's really
yeah,
close.
it's like so close.
I didn't realize.
You're in Windsor?
Yeah, I've never been here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Have you been here, Rydé?
Yeah.
It's a pretty common place for everybody. They're always like, I've been to Canada, I've been to Windsor, and I've just never been, but to Windsor. And yeah, so this is that's how when I'm on the road, I just steep it however I can, really, and then I pour it through a sieve. Sometimes it turns out, sometimes it doesn't.
You know, you can totally just if you ever for those watching too, like you can just throw it into a water bottle, right? And
How long would you steep it for if you did it at like room temperature water?
I did 5 minutes. I did 5 minutes, and I just have it in this water bottle. I had it in a different thing, and then I poured it through a sieve into this water bottle. But Sencha, I couldn't believe it. Everything else I steeped for like 24 hours. But why is it that Sencha? How long do you steep it, Jerry?
I do, like, if I'm going to do it in a bottle, I often use cold water, and I find the colder I make it, the more, like, fruit and complex it gets. But you said you use hot water from the tap, so you're kind of doing, like, almost like a gyokuro style.
No.
No, but, like, she woke it up.
It wasn't.
Through...
That's interesting.
Oh, yeah, I think that's what happened.
Yeah. You
I
did
used hot water
like
from
a pre-infusion, or a rinse, as we call it in the tea world. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it was like a rinse, but with the coffee that you put in water. So I just for like a second, but then I just regular the leaf, and then I put this water.
You started Darth Vader on us.
Really.
No, it's all good. No, that's awesome. So it's
into this water bottle.
Oh, now we can hear you. Okay, yeah, that's cool.
Oh.
So it's like a
Sorry.
No. We kind of got. I think we get the gist of what you're saying. Is that it was just like you poured it through a sieve into the bottle that you're drinking out of now, and you just use that cooler temperature of water. That's interesting. Yeah, I got to.
What
was surprising for you that you were tasting out of it?
Oh, I taste everything that I taste in Sencha. Like I honestly, it has that sweetness. It has umami. I've just never had a room temperature like lukewarm water, but I think you're right. We both mentioned that it woke it up with the hot water initially, just that quick rinse.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm tasting like delicious, sweet mixed with umami and just like it's like goes straight to your soul, and it's really green.
And you,
That's good
How
to
about
know,
you?
especially because when you are traveling, like beggars can't be choosers, right? So a lot of times the hot water that you're getting is going to be through somebody's plumbed system. It's not always going to be the best. A lot of times it's going to taste like chlorine or, or coffee or whatever, right? So it's good to know that the tea will hold its own with this like a scenario like that. That's cool.
Well, I did use water that was good water, like filtered water that I had in another bottle, and I
After,
put it
yeah,
into
yeah.
the coffee maker.
yeah.
So I,
Which is usually more accessible like later, at cold, so
true.
right, especially in the summer. But yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. That's really interesting. Yeah, we do these. Like I was thinking, I was showing you guys this too. Is we did. I don't know if you can see that. I think the light's too
Can't see
bright.
the label.
Yeah, let me turn that down. Can you see that now?
Oh, kombucha.
This
A
is
little
cool.
bit.
Can you see that now?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay, so that's cold brew tea. And so we're doing a cold brew, and then we're pasteurizing it, and then it's shelf stable for 2 years out of the fridge, which is pretty cool.
Okay, cool.
And we're doing it in these little kombucha
Like
bottles,
what you
and
do
we're
for
also,
next door.
yeah, it is like what we do for next door,
Yeah.
but we're bottling it. And then this is in a champagne bottle, and this is cold brew too, but this is kind of working with that slow cold extraction. And the sencha tastes so good in this. We made some sencha for the event. We do this this music event once every Saturday. One Saturday a month. Next one's on the 25th of June, and we serve the cold brew tea and champagne flutes. It's actually a really interesting way of trying out these really like a different facet or aspect of the tea. So, but I think it's what's interesting is what Sherri Ann's saying there with that rinse. I've actually never done that before. Done a rinse of the tea and then done a cold extraction. That'd be kind of fun. Like, why not? Like maybe that wakens it up and brings out some interesting flavors. And by hitting it with cold water immediately after the rinse, Sherri Ann, you're kind of trapping the volatiles from escaping. Because a lot of times the big reason why we don't make a hot extraction is because within about 15 minutes you're transforming those volatiles into something that's more oxidized and less interesting. But you've kind of come up with a really cool solution, which is to hit it with some hot water, waken it up, and then immediately brew it cold. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, I've never, like I said, never tried that before, and it was just by accident. The glass, I think, is nice too. I don't like it when it gets the taste of a to-go cup,
Right. Yeah. No,
Sometimes it tastes like waxy or something. That's like kind of sad when that happens.
that totally makes sense. We had. Sorry. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm so sorry in advance, but I do have just a couple percentages left, so I might just drop. My phone might disappear. My connection.
Totally cool. Yeah. Thank you. Hold on one sec. I'm just gonna pass this off to. There you go. So there's so this sencha is the one that we roasted together. Have you had a chance to try it yet? Have you drank it since you got home, or? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you for saving some for the show.
Yeah.
But it worked for you. Are you? Is this something that you were enjoying, or is it like this was your first time? I mean, for me, not too long ago, it was my first time finish firing tea. And I assume you've been involved in some roasting of coffees and kind of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, coffee. Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
But
And I've cupped teas before, like looking for holes in the flavor, like experience and stuff like that. But I've never actually done anything roasting related at all of an actual tea. So it was super cool.
Cool. Okay.
It was one of the highlights of my trip. Absolutely.
Cool.
And then I brought it home, and my significant other, I've had to hide this actually, but what's cool is that he has asked me, like, well, how do you make that? Like, he's never asked me before what I do.
Right.
When I make pretty much anything.
Right.
And
yeah.
so he'll just watch me. But but this one he actually asked me, how do you make that? So I thought that was really cool.
That's
You're
really
piquing that interest, right?
yeah, that's cool. I think it's kind of
Awesome.
fun, you know, like the whole. There's actually a unit you can get. Um, it's called a horoku. So you know, for those watching, we've done some episodes on tea roasting, and Rydé was over in May, and while I was in the middle of a roast, or like there was a day I needed to roast tea, and she came and she was like. I was like, "Hey, you want to roast some sencha together?" And she's like, "Yeah, let's do it." And so she was actually just you were like an assistant for a day, right? we hung out at the same time. But this is a horoku. It has a hollow handle, and you actually heat your tea in this over flame. And then when you're done, you actually pour it through the handle into your teapot or into your container. And so you can actually do tea roasting. Like in ceramic, which is kind of cool. It's you can also like make your own hojicha this way.
Roast it like that over fire.
Yeah,
Whoa,
which is it's kind of cool, right? Yeah,
that is very cool, but tricky.
Yeah, it would be, and of course every cup is going to be different, and you know like it's been interesting to try and manage temperatures and roast profiles, etc., etc. But what was your big takeaway from you've seen some different products getting roasted. This was your first time seeing tea roasted. Was there any sort of like, oh, that's interesting kind of moments or?
When you do coffee, often you get samples, small samples of if you want to buy a lot, right? So you got like a mini, not even that big, right? And then what you end up doing is you roast them in like a mini drum.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that idea where it's done over flame, and you're checking out if you want to buy more of it or be involved in it anymore if you want to say no. And then coffee, then you're doing it in a big like probat later, right? So what I thought was lovely is that the roasting of tea, I have really dry hair, and the roasting of the tea smell was just such a perfumey, beautiful smell that I smelled like after I left. Right? Guys on the plane, because I went straight from you to the airplane, and I missed my flight. But anyway, then I ended up at a restaurant while I was waiting for the flight. And then also on the plane, like people made comments about the way I smelled. So it was, and I have a lot of hair. Like, I don't know if you can see it all.
Sure,
but there's a lot, right?
Yeah.
You know, like people, and I could smell it. But when you roast coffee, it stinks.
Okay.
It smells like you have, it's not as bad as burning hair, but it's really close.
Sure.
So that was such a juxtaposition between the two.
And there's, I mean, if you were gonna roast hojicha is like literally roasted, whereas we could say that what we did was we fired tea or finished fired tea, because it's almost like a baking, because the temperatures we were talking were like 70 to 98 degrees centigrade. Whereas with hojicha, we're getting way up there, like into 200 degrees centigrade and closer to sort of like coffee roasting temperatures. When that happens, you start to get like similar like brackish caramelization. That's why hojicha is so brown, and how you build in that depth of flavor is through these. You know, what has been kind of the most interesting takeaway for me has been that temperature realm for senchas being so low. Like I knew that it was low, but you know, we've been playing with tencha too, the botanical for matcha, and that's been fun too. We've been actually just applying the sencha sort of experience to the tencha experience. We're sort of self-taught on the tencha, whereas the sencha with the S's in Sam, that we're drinking right now, that was more a roast profile that Mr. Takaki, who grew this tea, helped us set by just kind of watching in on a couple sessions over the smartphone app.
Well, and him walking you through that is just so cool, right?
It was so helpful. I don't know what I would have done.
You would never get that experience here.
No, like I wouldn't.
You don't have a farmer.
Yeah, it was just like, okay, like it was interesting because like there was so many you could look up. He gave me, for example, some temperature profiles. Okay, here's a roast curve. You know, like hit this 70 and hold it there for 5 or 7 minutes or what have you. Then blast it up to 93, 98, what have you, and then drop it. But like how you get there is really important too. And a big part of it was also him analyzing the rotations per minute in the drum. and like looking at how fast it was spinning, because the amount of contact time the leaves have on the side of the drum before it drops is actually really important to the kind of the cooking process. The first time we went through, I had the fan on the whole time. I didn't realize that I should turn it off. But of course, when you're heating it up, the fan shouldn't be on. Otherwise, you can never get to the temperatures that are hotter than 70 degrees. It's just that we were roasting or firing for like an hour, and we couldn't get the temperature up. It was we were putting the dial up real high, but nothing was happening because, of course, it's just channeling air, right? So we were just like, okay, what do we do? And then the second time around, we were able to realize, okay, yeah, turn off the fan, of course. You know, like it's like, but it was these kind of things, and then the tooth coming out like inside of the drum is better for, say, oolongs or like longer leaf teas. It's actually not as ideal for sencha because it's sencha's so delicate that tooth, as they call it in Japanese, I don't know what we call it in English. I'm just direct translating, but that ridge inside of the drum that carries the tea and then it kind of spills over and drops to the bottom of the drum, that is too big for sencha. So he was commenting that, oh, that's a little bit too large. It would have been, so if I could go back in time, I would say to the people who built my tea roaster, hey, do you have a way of reducing the height of that ridge that carries the tea?
Yeah. Or just replaceable parts.
But an interesting side benefit has been that by it dropping hard like that off of a longer ridge, it breaks the leaves a bit, and I actually get something that's a lot faster in terms of extraction. You get a very meaty, strong extraction because, of course, there's more surface area to extract from than, say, a more, a sencha produced in Japan. And in Japan, after you roast, you would also separate it again through the system they used before roasting, which separates out the fines and leaves you with, just the ideal leaf size. But I don't have that kind of fancy contraption. So you're getting everything that went in is coming out. And so there's going to be, what you're getting from me is a lot more rustic than you might find from a more established tea company in Japan. But I like it. I think it's really good. Like, I enjoy the complexity of flavor, the rich extraction. Like, I'm really into it. I'm having a lot of fun with this.
Yeah. If you were roasting in a tea producing area, do you know if they would typically be roasting multiple different types of teas, or do people typically stick with one type or style? And do people who grow have roasters, or is it very common that goes to like a communal mill or roastery? What is the setup there?
The norm is that a farmer doesn't normally have their own tea roaster. They often just farm the raw botanical, and then that gets sold to a cooperative. The cooperative holds it. And so, like, for example, it's actually called aracha, or rough tea. And then that rough tea is then sold to an ochayasan, or a tea company. And the tea company is going to generally blend that. It'll still be single region, but it won't be single estate. And they'll blend multiple estates together for an ideal flavor profile that they'll then finish fire. And so they'll have their house roaster who's like really skilled at what they do to bring out these very carefully built flavor profiles that are consistent every year, so that you can associate a particular flavor profile with that particular company. So when you buy tea in Japan, you're buying a tea that generally has a poetic name. Like, we used to have crane flies above the clouds as one of our options. So that would have been prepared by a company that bought from a co-op who bought from farmers.
Right.
And with Fujioka or with Takaki-san, they have the equipment to be able to finish it themselves. Fujioka-san doesn't actually finish fire at all, because in Kyoto, my theory is that it's a harder bake-off when they create the aracha, or the rough tea, so they don't actually add that component later. So it stays very fresh and almost grassy, and in a good way, or a nicer way of talking about is floral. Whereas the Fukuokans find that too rough or raw, so the southern Japanese are going to be more prone to steam a little bit deeper and bring out more kind of like artichoke-like flavors, and then they're going to finish fire to bring out nutty flavors. So there's regional variations on what's normal for even just preparing sencha. So within the realm of sencha, there's so much variation that, to answer your question, do they roast multiple teas? Yes, but it's generally all Sencha, but it's different cultivars blended to produce different rankings of flavor profiles that are specific to that company.
Yeah. So then you would really only need one type of tooth or paddle.
Yeah, because you're just doing green tea.
Yeah, you wouldn't need interchangeable parts.
Something like 95% of production in Japan is for green tea. Whereas if you were in Japan or in China, you're going to see more of the full gambit. Your oolongs, your crimson teas, your green teas. But that still being said, most farmers are going to focus on one, maybe two styles. Probably two is going to be more normal than one. But like a green and a black, or what we call crimson tea. What we call black tea in North America, and they would call red or crimson tea at origin.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what I find really interesting too is that you can change the roast profile to bring out like this is what I'm actually I didn't have any. I thought I kept some of the roast we did together, but I'm actually drinking the roast that I did of 2022 harvest that just came in, and I'm really stoked about. But it's the same cultivar from the same farmer, different year. But I'm also going to get a different cultivar from the same farmer, and I'm going to be able to roast that this year too. So it'll be an okumidori. Like a Sencha okumidori. Yeah, so I'm into that. But Yabukita is so like Yabukita, for example, the matcha we have by Fujioka-san is his favorite. He likes it better than the okumidori, even though most folks like would judge okumidori to be a higher grade of matcha. The Yabukita, even though it has those bitters, it also has this really interesting florality and still has some very discernible umami. And it just ends up being like this really nice balanced tea, and it's actually the benchmark cultivar for most farmers. You have Yabukita and something else that you're growing, so you're just gonna see it. It's just very pest resistant, produces a lot of volume, tastes really good. So how can you beat that?
I can't remember who did there was someone that did one that I really loved and that I thought was an okumidori. I'm wondering who that was. I have notes somewhere else.
Okay.
I'll ask.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
because it was like it was something where I was confused. I was like, oh wow, there's a lot more in this than I was expecting, and it was pretty cool.
That's cool. Yeah. And then one of the farmers we work with, Takaki-san, who is also the one who's showing us how to set the parameters for the tea roaster. He often blends actually multiple cultivars together as well. He's the farmer, but he brings it to a Sencha factory to kind of like. Bring it through like the steaming process and the shaping process, and to get the raw aracha back, and then from there they have the equipment to be able to sort it and filter out the fines, and to be able to finish fire it, to be able to blend it. They can do all of that in house. Whereas I would say the norm is that a farmer will bring it to a Sencha factory, get it back, and then they'll bring it to, if they want to have tea for themselves to sell, they'll probably instead of selling it to a co-op, they'll sell most of it to co-op, but maybe they want to sell a little bit direct. They'll bring that to a company that can finish it for them.
Okay.
And turn it from aracha into sencha, and then they would sell the sencha. You don't really see aracha as a tea that's out and about being sold and consumed.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's sencha. It's like drinking green bean coffee. It'd be kind of, it's not like you can't. It's just really odd. You would normally.
Have you ever seen white coffee?
White coffee, is that essentially what that is?
No, well, kind of. It's sort of. I actually, if we had more time, then I would do this with you, and we could do this another time. But there's, I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, white
there's
coffee.
There's a company.
Yeah.
In. They're out of Bremerton. They did a really cool project for street youth and stuff, and they have a roastery and a cafe and la-da-da-da-da. Anyways, Bremerton's in Washington. It's like a Navy town. And so one of the things that they geeked out on was doing this white coffee, which is just, it's like it's barely been roasted, but you need a special type of grinder. You would never even want to use your regular commercial grinder on it because the beans are so hard. Right. So they roast it just to this white point, and the caffeine is really, really high.
Right.
And then they grind it for you, and then because they have to, and then they sell it in these little packets, I guess, and it tastes a lot like somewhere between Postum and instant coffee.
Huh. Okay.
But the caffeine content is like super high. So
Interesting.
I have reserved it for emergency purposes because I'm 4 hours time difference from most of my folks. So
Sure,
it's come in useful a few times.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I'll mail you some, but it is a white powder, so they might not take kindly to mailing it.
That's really funny. We joke about that all the time. We say that that's what makes our tea so addictive is as we like to mix in some South American white tea powder. But
yeah, there you go.
That's the ongoing joke here. We have scales and we deal in powders. We get teased all the time. Okay. So we're actually coming to the end of the show here pretty quick here, Ryde. I told you I'd bore you for 45 minutes if you had it for me, and here we are already at 55. Do you have any I guess we got talking about the society a little bit, but I did want to just talk a little bit more about that. I had so many questions before we got into the tea, and I love the conversations we have around tea and libations and extraction and roasts and all that fun stuff. But there was you were in the middle of a story where you were talking about you taking on the project. You also moved it to the East Coast. You had a cafe that you sold via essay. I believe.
No, we gave it away.
You gave it away. Yeah, you gave away a cafe. Yeah, that's so cool. Who won that in the end, and what are they called now?
This guy won it in Fernie.
Okay.
And then he opened the coolest little building, and it's still going on, and they do it's just a community hub. It's absolutely awesome.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. What is it called, out of curiosity?
You know what? I just blanked. It's on the website.
Sure.
But
maybe we'll add it in the comments section once you know. You can text it to me, and I'll add it to the comments.
Yeah, I can totally do that. Yeah. Okay. And because it was such a cool, and his essay was so cool. The essays were so inspiring.
That's cool.
They're really awesome. But I would love doing stuff like that is just so fun, and we are so out of the box. Like the next thing that we're doing is we'd like to do a series of videos, basically like how-to videos, kind of like a YouTube-y how-to, but
sure.
Between 1 and 3 minutes, and anyone can submit them, and we want stuff that's closer to the learner as opposed to the expert, because I find a lot of times when experts make a video, they forget that the people that are watching the video are fresh and new at learning.
Sure.
And those times where you look up knitting or something relatively simple online and how to do it, and you have stopped it 17 times, right? And you still don't get it because the expert forgets those 20 steps or those 20 questions.
Yeah.
So we're doing something like that, and it can be on anything. It can be on how to deal with your tea when you have crappy water and you're in a hotel. Here's a solution.
Yeah.
Right? And
they have one of those. They have one of those filter straws you can get. I think
like a life straw, a life straw for tea.
There you go.
Totally.
Just
totally.
Stuff it with. Put a filter on the end and.
Oh yeah, like those ones with the But what our friend had just endured and then just ended up. This is what she did, and now she loves it, right?
Yeah,
I mean, all of my family favorite recipes are my mom's mistakes at some point in time. So.
I don't know if I mentioned it when Sherri was on the call, but Sherri, although we've sponsored her band with tea for 10 years plus, she's also my sister.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so there you go. You've met my sister now. Cool. Okay. Cool. So this is a how-to video, so people can go to, is it ourhealthsociety.org? How would they?
Well, we haven't done them yet. We're just starting.
You're working on the idea. The idea is there.
They can even submit them. They could even send us an email and say, I have a cool idea for a video. I want to do one.
So if people want to see when this stuff is launching, or if those watching want to learn a little bit more about the society, is ourhealthsociety.org where I would.
It'll be on the website. Yeah, the guys are ripping that apart right now. Now or next month, I can't remember. But
I noticed a message on it saying back in action soon.
Yeah, okay, then they're getting in there.
Yeah. You have so it sounds like there's a lot in the works. You're kind of you're building digitally. You're building physically. There's your project is sort of being taken apart to be put back together in a really exciting way. I'm stoked for you. I always feel like Rydé's always got something really interesting going on. So I hope that we can we can keep sharing teas and coffees, etc. as we go too.
Sure.
But
one other thing that we're doing. Well, one, we're renovating this giant house to do a group home, but the other thing is that we're going to do community programming in some of the other rooms. The place is huge,
right.
and one of the things was to do some sort of group for men,
Okay.
because there's not really anything for men in this area.
Okay.
There's things for everybody else, but sort of, and often like a life skills and just sort of connect with men. And so we were going to talk about tea, and we were going to talk about cooking and stuff like that. But yeah, it's kind of just sort of like a circle group that we're looking at doing too.
That's
and
cool.
that incorporates tea, so that's why I brought
that's
it.
in New Scotland. New Scotland.
Yeah, well, that'll be in it'll be like
What
New
was
Glasgow based.
What was the name of the town that?
Pictou.
Thank you, Pictou. I feel like I should remember. That's actually an awesome name. I feel like they have some of the coolest names on the east coast of Canada. Like
I learned recently that I think that it actually is a native word, like Mi'kmaq word for bad smell, but I'm not totally sure if that was a joke or if that was,
Well,
I'll report later.
Only one way
but
around
it's
that.
Beautiful.
You just need to roast a lot of tea.
True.
And then you're going to be in good shape. This is it. Well, thank you for coming on the show, and for just hanging out. I love the conversations and dialogues that we end up having. So yeah, gratitude and appreciation. Let's keep having them. It'd be great to have you on the show again sometime. Maybe we can drink some white coffee together or something.
Yeah, it'll be weird. We should do a close up of our face.
Yeah, when you drink it.
Reaction.
Oh my God, dude, pour over.
This is different.
Drink it whole. I don't know. Okay.
I would not drink it cold.
Okay.
I have not had it cold.
I meant whole, but.
Oh yeah, no.
Because I throw coffee beans into smoothies, and I just grind up the coffee beans with everything. That'd be kind of interesting.
I haven't done that. I don't know, and I worry about me saying like that something's safe or not. Like I've concluded my body can handle a ridiculous amount of caffeine, which is what's interesting about one of your comments at the beginning, where it's like that's probably not a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, no, so what might be okay for me might really not be safe for other people.
Yeah. There's different. Know your limit and play within it, but you might have a high limit. Yeah, so you can play within a high limit, which is fun. And different. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, thank you so much again. I really appreciate you coming on, Rydé. People can go check out what you're doing. ourhealthsociety.org.
For sure.
And I wish you an awesome evening. You're joining us. What is it, like 6 o'clock over there right now?
It is 7:01.
7:01. Okay, yeah, you're 4 hours ahead. All right. Well, thank you again. You have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
We'll see you later.
Peace. Bye. Okay, so that was where am I? There I am. That was Rydé joining us from the Small Ritual Health Society. So she used to, when I met her, operate the Small Ritual Coffee Society in White Rock. And then she's moved operations over to Nova Scotia, and she's doing some really cool stuff. So you should check it out. It looks like they're going to do some sort of how-to video session. They really focus on health and keep that definition as wide open as possible. So I encourage you to go and check what she's doing out. The tea we drank today was a Sencha Yabukita by Takaki. Takaki-san is the fellow who showed us how to roast tea. We're going to be throwing a lot of our 2021 specialty senchas on sale pretty quick here. So if you go to the webpage, you can find them. There's just a few left. We are making room for the 2022 harvest. Go check that out. I hope you watch us next week, Thursday, 2 o'clock. And in the meantime, tell everybody about our sessions. So we're doing these musical tea series here at JagaSilk. We set it up with the help of Sherri through her label Resonation. And her band Sister Speak, if you're interested, is performing on the 13th of August. But on the 25th, coming up really soon, there's going to be some Persian, European early music performed by Douglas Hensley. He's got so many albums. He's so accomplished. He's a teacher at the Victoria Conservatory of Music. He's a specialist in plucked instruments, so he plays like the oud and the lute and all sorts of really cool early instruments. So you just come check it out. You get, for $25, a contribution to that musician, as well as a flight of cold brew teas that we serve in champagne flutes, and you get, we're generally serving these guys, so this is a red Milan Shang that we did that we're really stoked about. So it's all like fancy and a champagne bottle, but we pour that into a flute for you, and then you get a dessert, and we just have a lot of fun. So that's going to be from noon until 4 on June 25th. And the next one we'll have is actually just a little bit past that, July 9th. We'll have Matt Stern joining us. He's a francophone indie kind of, what is, he refers to his music, I always think francophone indie, but he says multilingual pop soul intimate. And he's performed a number of times here in the courtyard here at JagaSilk. And he always does such an accomplished job. He plays to very large audiences. He's got such a comfortable musical expression. I really encourage you to come check him out. Then we have Sister Speak the following month in August. And then in September, we have Martin Bonham joining us, and he's going to be doing more early music. He's going to be doing the viola da gamba, Baroque music. The viola da gamba being the ancestor of the cello. A 7-stringed instrument. It's really fascinating. One of my favorite musicians, Jordi Sabal, sort of popularized the viola da gamba. And I'm just so stoked because apparently Martin knows Jordi or has played with him, which I think is so cool. And he's an older gentleman who's going to just do, I'm sure, a fantastic job too. He works closely with the Victoria Conservatory as well. And then the final date, October 8th, is going to be Steve Schmiller opening up for my band, Truth and Dolphin. Steve will be playing the guitar for the band as well, and it looks like we might even have Sister Speak join for some songs in the set as well. But we'll see what happens. So regardless, we'll see you one Saturday a month at these music sessions. If you're interested, you can buy tickets on our webpage. You want to go to the webpage and buy that Yabukita by Takaki, that Sencha that we were just drinking today, please go for it. Huge appreciation and gratitude for you watching. Thank you so much and have a fantastic day.